Good evening, everyone. HDPhillyB here with another evening of Scrim Nights. Tonight we have for you SF Crocks versus the Boston Boost. Our first map for the evening will be Route 66. Crocks will be on the defense and Boston Boost will be on the offense. I like what SF Crocks is running this evening with the classic dive composition. We have Diva and Winston, and then Boombox on his signature Zenyatta, tossing in those Discords for that extra damage. On the other side with Boston Boost, we have a little different composition with Tonic on the Winston and Emil on the Roadhog. I think they might be trying to bully the high ground with this. Winston diving in and creating some space, and then Emil getting a fortunate hook to try to get those folks off the high ground. Junkrat and McCree for SF Crocs definitely like to stay on those high ground areas. As you can see, Devik here taking that forward position, raining grenades down. Snillo already getting low, has to back off and receive some healing. Emil checking his corners, trying to find anybody out of position, does not, goes back to the main line to try to absorb some of that damage. Once again, checking that high ground top of the gas station, see if anybody is in range for a hook. Does not. He regroups back with his team. SF Crocs using that high ground to their advantage. They're switching and rotating their tanks very effectively. Diva goes up, Winston goes down, and vice versa. Tonic extremely low. Can he get any help? He cannot. Devik with an early tire, racking up that percent so quickly, takes out Z-Core, and they have to go back to spawn. Boombox getting picked off by Snillo. I think Snillo's still in the back line there, trying to harass the rest of Team Crocks. I like what he's doing there. He's distracting them as much as possible so that the rest of his team can take that position back on the payload, maybe contest that high ground a little bit more. Snillo looking for Boombox as he's coming back to the point, but the Diva will escort him back safely. Meanwhile, Tonic back on the payload, doing his duty as main tank, trying to escort this payload forward. Finds a call out to Vic on the high ground, getting pressured out. Will he be taken down? He's dodgy. He's going for that health back. No. The Diva follows him and takes him down. Meanwhile, as the tanks were going after Devik, the rest of the team got slaughtered in the back line, and they're all sent back to spawn. Cool and Vanera trying to hold on to the point, but their healers are down, using those health packs at their advantage to have some sustain. Snillo looking for that pulse spawn. Devik takes him out. One grenade to the face, and he's done. Boston needs to regroup here, get all of their folks back on the payload, look for one good push, maybe have a coordinated attack onto the high ground. We have Cranks on the side. He does have his tac visor. He might be looking for a good position to use it, sends the rockets in, gets the McCree super low. To Vic with another tire already. He's looking for a pick. The sound barrier comes through, helps his Winston stay alive. Ooh, Dempsey on the high ground, the other end, gets the distracted Cranks, takes him down with the Deadeye. Meanwhile, the tanks are jumping onto the high ground of the gas station, looking for picks. Emil sends a bomb over the top, finds Devik in the back line. Excellent work by him. Trying to deny Vanera the health pack inside that room, gets a bio grenade onto himself, and needs to back off. Honey needs to save his tank, and sends in the Tranquility. Vanilla just trying to send in a bomb for some space, gets nothing out of it. Emil and Tonic doing an incredible amount of work. That Discord on every enemy they're attacking. The callout's insane by Boston right now. And they're able to push it through. And this is where this composition really works to perfection. If those callouts are clean, if that Discord is on everyone, then it's, oh. The tanks are going in, trying to get the spawners as they're coming out of the door. They understand this is a choke point, as the spawn's right there. Tonic does get slept, but Emil's right there to follow it up and take Boombox down. I like the positioning by Cranks here. He's on that off angle, trying to pressure the opposing team as they're coming out of the spawn. Devik actually switches over to the Genji. Realizes he might not get as much mobility as he would like from the Junkrat, so he switches over to the Genji to try to contest those high ground positions that Cranks is taking. I like what he's doing. Emil is just all over the place, using that boost to perfection to contest these folks as they're trying to make their way into the backline. Tonic wants to hold the door. He calls the rest of his team with him. Emil is following up close behind. He used that D-Matrix to negate some of that damage. They find... Oh, man. Cool takes a weird dive in. The rest of his team is not there to follow him up, and he just gets immediately sent back to spawn. The Primal Rage goes in from Tonic, trying to push all the people back, get that extra time for the payload to push forward. He goes extremely low, 47 health. Honey needs to send in the Tranquility to keep him alive. Ooh. Deadeye comes in from Dempsey. Doesn't get in. barrier from Zigcore, trying to keep everybody alive for this final push as the payload is so close to completion. Bomb comes in from Emil, trying to create more space. Can he find anybody? He cannot. But he does get Vanera out of mech. Excellent work by Boston Boost. Really have the great callouts. Their tank line is working in sync and executing this dive to perfection.
Excuse me for dropping in.
All right, some switches coming out. Boombox switching off of Zenyatta, going to Mercy. Dempsey switching off the Mercury and going to the Tracer. I think they're realizing Snillo is being a nuisance in the background. They need something else to contest him, so Dempsey's going to try his hand at the Tracer and see if he can fend off Snillo. Crank staying on the shoulder. He's getting a ton of support from his Lucio and his Zen. The orb has just been constantly on him. Wow, a very quick blade from Tavik. He gets 2, he gets 3, he gets 4, takes out the entire team. The push is over for Boston Boost. They might have to go back to the drawing board and rethink this one.
My ultimate is charging.
Honey will probably get his ultimate Transcendence for this next fight. He might try to couple that with Tonic's Primal Rage and get some picks. On the other end, Happy-Cool with his own Primal Rage, and Dempsey with the Pulse Bomb, as well as the Nano Boost. So a lot of good defensive tools for Crocks as they try to hold this final point. Emil sends the bomb in. Can he find anyone? He gets a double kill on the back line to Victor. It's switched back to Snilla with the Pulse Bomb. What is he going to do with it? Does he toss it in here? He does. He knows that getting Vanera out of milk is huge. Takes a couple of pot shots on the way back, but he's quickly healed up by the rest of his team. Vanera is out of mech. You would think that he would just switch off of the character and switch back on to try to get the back quickly. Transcendence come in from Honey, trying to keep the rest of his team alive as they know they don't have the advantage on this point. Tonic goes into the backline, takes out Mini, gets back to the point, and Boombox is down on the Mercy. Stall champs coming out right now. May tossed in. Dempsey on the Tracer, trying to just touch the point ever so often to keep it from moving. Mini still on the Ana, tried to sleep someone. It's immediately taken by Snillo, and Tavik is destroyed. Great work by the Boston Boost, really understanding how this dive composition works. Crank's on those high ground positions, just constantly raining bullets down. He's so hard to kill because he has that medical field just placing it down. All right, switching sides. Let's see how the Boston Boosts do on their defense. Decent time bank, right? Getting all 3 points with still 1 minute and 10 seconds left. The end of Route 66 is often a tough point to take as the spawns are so close to that final point, but they do a great job of getting a couple kills early, right? Tonic goes in with that Primal Rage, gets a double kill off the back of it, and really makes space for the rest of his team to move on in. And from there, it's just a firefight, one-on-one situations. What can happen? I think one of the critical factors of that last fight was Vanera, right? He gets killed out of mech with Snillo tossing in that Pulse Bomb and then doesn't elect to change. He kind of stays on the Bunny Blaster for maybe a little too long when they really need that D-Man in there. That's how this dive composition works, and that D-Matrix is crucial to absorbing that damage that's coming in. Let's see how they adjust this time. Boombox flashing the Hanzo. He might be using that just to toss in a Sonic Arrow and then switch off to support, as that is his main role. Though we have seen Boombox on the Roadhog every so often, so, you know, with this open queue, open rolls, he might stay on the Hanzo and see if he can get some extra damage in.
It works great. Let's get to it already.
Emil on the Spire, looking to be the scout, seeing what the Crocks will run on their offense.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Boombox sending that Sonic Arrow in. Snillo trying to take out Mini immediately. He knows exactly what target he's going for. The Zenyatta is easy pickings for Sombra. Okay, there it is. Boombox switching off of Hanzo and going to Lucio. You don't see him on Lucio very often, so I'd like to see what he can produce with this champion. Tavik hopping around, very hard to kill as this Genji. He He finds Zecor out of position, tries to take him down. The tanks have to peel for him, and they do so effectively. Snillo already with an EMP tosses it in, but on the back of it, Dempsey on the Tracer gets 2. Even fight now. HDPhillyB super low. Can he get some support? Cart, sometimes it's the best healer in the game, adds that little extra boost to the offense as it heals the members that are on it. Luckily, he gets the Orb of Harmony and the boost from Boombox to heal himself back up. Snillo overstayed his welcome in the backline, trying to find an extra pick, gets slashed out by Tavik. Now it's a 5v6 situation. Boston Boost, they're looking to push this one. Tavik just laying in the damage. Those right clicks just firing away. He's going right after the tanks. He's charged that Dragon Blade up so quickly. I think the Crocks have an opportunity to steamroll this. If you look at the ultimate charge, Mini has his Transcendence to Vic with the Dragon Blade. You'd like to see them combo that. I think they might lead in with Vanera, try to create some space with that bomb, and then off the back of that to Vic dropping in from above and just slashing away. He got that quadruple kill on the defense before. Let's see if he can repeat that. Dempsey harassing the backline. Snillo might have to change off. Oh, Crocks is actually on the Tracer, but I don't see him anywhere. The backline is just getting harassed. Bomb dropped in by Emil. I think he's just trying to create some space there, add some respite to his team. The beat is dropped by Zecor. His team is in trouble. He is in not a good position with that Discord on him. He went very low. The follow-up just too clean from Dempsey and Tavik, working in tandem so effectively to take out some of the key members of the Boston Boost. I think the push for them is over. Whoo! An amazing piece of skill, deflects those orbs so perfectly. Honey didn't know what hit him and immediately take him down. HDPhillyB low again, looking for that health pack in this room, but it has been hacked up by Snillo. That's a good move by him. But once again, he knows the payload will help him out. He's got the Orb of Harmony on him as well. He's back up to full. Not much to work with on the side of the Boston Boost. They used that EMP in the last fight, really didn't get much out of it. HDPhillyB using the Primal Rage to boop the defenders out of this area. Honey accrues the Transcendence, uses it to try to get the rest of his team out there. I don't know if it was the best move. It seems like Zecor, as well as Crocks, get to the point. Snillo on above, trying to manually hack the side of the SF Crocks, but doesn't seem to get anything, and then gets taken down by Tavik. Easy take by SF Crocks. Good engage by HDPhillyB, using that Primal Rage, kind of splits the team off. Only 3 members of Boston Boost able to make it out of that door, and then they were easily picked off. Tavik taking a very forward position. He does have the support with him. Then HDPhillyB has got to work on his own as the supports were focused on Tavik. So what's interesting for SF Crocks, at least for me, is that the dive is not coordinated around the 2 tanks. It's actually coordinated around Tavik. He's the one that's calling out these engages and trying to find these pickoffs. A ton of ultimates are flying through. Bombs are tossed in, both pulse bombs and Diva bombs. No picks, at least in the kill feed. Clinks and Snillo get HDPhillyB into Tavik. Mini gets Crocks as he's trying to be harassed in the backline. Ooh, and then Dempsey with the flashbang and then the headshot. Sent back to spawn with that one. Crocks still trying to push this, even with just 3 on the point. The reinforcements are coming in now. Bubble put down. Who is Tavik? I like this camera view for him. Who is he looking for? He is looking for the supports. Calls it out perfectly. Him and Dempsey once again coordinating to perfection, taking out Zecor. He had no chance. If you're looking in the kill feed, those discards are on pretty much every hero that has fallen. Mini is on fire right now, absolutely just decimating the Boston Boost with that discord. Oh, Dempsey, that's not a fight you want to take. The Winston's got the Tracer every day of the week. Honey using the Transcendence to actually back off and regroup with his team. Sound Barrier comes in from Boombox. He knows that this point is for the taking, so he's just trying to add a little extra sustain. Can they find any kills off the back of it? They cannot. Tonic jumps in, uses Primal Rage to push people off the point. That creates enough space for Snillo to get some kills. Emil as well onto Vic, and Zikor onto Venera. And that should be a team win for Boston Boost. They did have to invest a ton of ultimates, however. They had the Transcendence that they used. They had Tonic's Primal Rage. With still 2 minutes left on the clock, SF Crocks is still in a good position here. They do have the Transcendence and Dragon Blade to combo together to try to push this card to the finish.
We can't let the payload just sit there.
I'd like to see Snillo maybe try to pick off a key member, right? If they take off Mini, then Dragon Transcendence does not come through. But he is focused. Dempsey's been doing a good job of going into the backline and really disrupting the coordination for Boston. So Snillo does have to keep an eye out. Here comes the Vic with the Dragon Blade, gets immediately popped down. Here comes the Transcendence though to keep him alive. He gets a meal before he can get back in mech. Not much value out of that, but they do get one, but the spawns are so close. Venera, then Mini, then Dempsey, taking out 3 on the side of Boston. Dempsey, nice stick onto Emil, knows he has to get him out of mech, and he's immediately finished off.
Round 2.
Excellent work by SF Crocks. Even though the Dragon Blade didn't get many kills, it did create enough space and confusion that the one-on-one play, right, between the Tracer and the Lucio, matchups were created that were not in the favor of Boston. They were in the favor of SF Crocks, right? A Lucio against a Tracer, Tracer's going to win that 9 out of 10 times. So they like their odds there. They push forward. I'm sure there was win-win-win in the comms all over the place, and they were able to get it to the finish. Looks like our next map here will be a hybrid map. Eichenwald, one of my favorites. Lots of low ground, high ground play, especially on second point, right? When there's that castle, there's lots of different avenues to maneuver within. Looks like we have 1 point apiece as both teams were able to push the payload to the finish. Okay. SF Crocks on the defense. They elect to go with the Reinhardt and Roadhog combination. I do like that. There's a lot of sustain with that shield, and they'll try to create some space, right? If Vic is raining the grenades down, they'll be distracted with that, trying to dodge, and then Hefficool might be able to get a hook in and get a pick off, and that'll make sure Boston's resetting. Tonic on the other end. Ooh, one of my favorite compositions is the Rhine Zarya tank line. It's a great front line. They can absorb a lot of damage. Honey on the Moira can provide a ton of healing, especially with 3 tanks. They're just going to eat damage, and look at that. They're bullying their way through, trying to absorb as much damage as possible and just push the other team back. They do lose Emil in the process. Let's see if they attempt to back off here. They think they have a winnable situation. Oh my gosh, Tonic absolutely knocked up and brought down. Looks like that'll be reset for Boston Boost. Yes, this is long before Reinhardt had the steadfast passive, and you can see there why that was such a crucial enhancement to his kit. Whoa, beat coming in. They're using that to push. Coalition's fired in, but it's a little too late to save. I think Dempsey recognized that this fight was over. He'll probably go for a change after the back of that. He was seeing if he could get any cleanup kills, but he could not. That's a great engage by the Boston Boost. They used the sound barrier to add even more health to their triple tank front line, and there just wasn't enough that Vic and Dempsey could do to cut them down. Followed up with the Coalescence that just provided that healing right as soon as the barrier worn off. The Coalescence was right in there to keep them all up, and they just bullied their way through. Doesn't look like any... Oh, actually, there are a few changes. Hefficool goes off of the Roadhog and goes back to Tracer. I think he's going to try to harass the backline as Zikor and Honey have just been free range, able to heal all 3 of their tanks up. Tonic trapped with the payloads pushing him forward, so he's able to stay with the rest of his team. Snillo back on that McCree. Oh man, Venera hammered down right into the shield of Tonic. Nothing happening for him. Snell just laying down the damage, looking for Heavy Cool and making sure that his backline is safe. Another Coalescence for Honey. Wow, that trap. I didn't know how it got Zikor, but he was in deep trouble. That's probably why he had to use the sound barrier. The tire came in, but the sound barrier was still up and was able to keep him alive.
That's not right.
All right, SF Crocks here on the high ground, trying to utilize Vic and Dempsey to get that damage in. Vanera comes in, but there's no support behind him. He does create enough space for the tack visor from Dempsey to get some kills on the supports. As you can see, Mini tossing in those discords, getting a ton of damage.
My ultimate is ready to be unleashed.
Excellent work from SF Crocks. They took the high ground. They knew that Boston was going to have to push the payload under that archway, and they knew exactly how to engage. Vanera was extremely lucky as he jumped in by himself and was not taken down. You would like to see the focus fire from Boston come through there. They used the speed boost to get into the castle. They know that they need to take the high ground this time, but the call outs have come, and they're going to engage on top of this stairwell. Grab tossed in, but Mini had the Transcendence. Oh, Tavik gets pinned out of it and taken down. That's a ton of damage from SF Crocks gone. That was a good engage by Boston. The Transcendence was absolutely perfect from Mini, so they was able to keep everyone alive, and then Tonic just goes in for the charge, trying to find a pick, trying to open something up, but when he does that, he leaves the rest of his team open, and they just get converged on immediately. SF Croc with a ton of tools here to hold off for at least a couple more pushes. Emil taking damage, but uses that to fall into the backline and start harassing the soldier. Eventually, Emil does elect to take himself out, go back to spawn so he can get his mech. Zikor, he's deep back in there. I don't know if that's the best position for him to be, especially against a Winston who's able to get that shifty Lucio. Uh-oh. Yeah, only a matter of time. If you're facing a Winston and a Moira, nothing that Lucio speed and shiftiness can do. Tavik sends in the tower. He's going to try to end this push with one go. Can he find a target? Oh, and he does. He gets a double kick on Tonic and Honey. Excellent work on Tavik. This is great ult usage by SF Crocks. They still have 4 ultimates to work with, and Mini is about to get his Transcendence as well, so tons of tools for them to use. On the side of Boston, we have Earth Shatter that could be coupled with the Deadeye, and both support ultimates are online, so they could live through this. Let's see what kind of engage Boston goes for this time. They dropped the beat, I think a little early in my opinion, as the pressure wasn't being exactly put on yet from SF Crocks. Vanera is low once again. He gets the Orb of Harmony on him, but that's slow going. Deadeye ties in by Snillo. I don't even see where it's coming from. He doesn't find anybody. He tried to use the low ground there and shoot up. All the while, Boston in the last few pushes had not even been on the payload, so it got pushed back. Tonic does toss in the Earth Shatter, but there was no follow-up from his team. Mini with the Transcendence again, coupling that with the Primal Rage from the Winston to push everybody off the payload. They know they only have 40 seconds left, and they're going to try to full hold this. Boombox and Mini, the killer supports, hunting people down and taking them out.
30 seconds remaining.
Excellent ult cycling from the Crocks. I'm flabbergasted at how well they're doing this. They use both of the tank ultimates, but they knew that their DPS ults would be back online. Boombox should get his Coalescence quite shortly as being the main healer. Tavik uses his to get an early pick on Emil of all people. That's a huge, absolutely massive pick. Cracks is trying to contest him on the high ground and cannot do it. No coordination coming in from Boston about who should be touching the point. You'd like to think Snillo, who's a signature Tracer player, knows that that's his touch to make, especially as Emil gets taken out early from that tire. All right. Boston on their attack. It's 1 point and a few meters in distance. Let's see how SF Crocks respond on their attack.
Traveling to Eichenwald.
All right. Looks like Boston is going to go with the Oink and Yoink and try to use the long range of Snillo on the Soldier and Cranks just pumping in the damage probably from that bridge down onto SF Crocks as they approach. On the other hand, a variation of the Oink and Yoink, right? But this time they have Vanera on the Reinhardt and Hefficool on the Roadhog. They're going to try to push forward, bully their way through, try to absorb as much damage as possible, and then find a pickoff with that hook. I'm interested to see the duel that happens between Tavik and Cranks. Are they just going to ignore each other and just try to pump in as much damage as they can into the opposing tank line? Or will they try to hunt each other down and take each other out? I don't know if Boston is ready for this turret from Dempsey that's coming out. I mean, Orisa, her shield cannot protect the full team at all times, right? If there's a Reinhardt, he can kind of move around. The bubble from Winston is kind of circular, it protects from all sides, right? The tonic shield on Orisa is only in a one direction. So if Dempsey can get into an advantageous position and put the turret down, I think he could do some damage. But he elects to switch off, and he goes with the Soldier. All right. There they go, bullying their way through. They know that the Orisa shield is not stronger than the Reinhardt shield, so they just take that down immediately with their grenades from Tavik, and they move forward. Picks on both sides, Boombox down on support, and Cranks gets down but gets rezzed by Honey. That's a great pick. I love Mercy on the defensive side. Those rezzes are absolutely massive. Vanera moving forward. He wants to get in close and use that hammer, but he's trusting the rest of his team to put in the DPS in the meantime. Hefficool on the off angle, looking for a pick. He does see everyone. Oh, they see him down. They see him, and they put down the shield to protect the rest of the team. Snillo on the Soldier. Gets boosted, takes an extra Helix rocket, and takes out SF Crocks. I think SF is going to continue to go with this bully tactic and just try to muscle their way forward, even though the Cranks has his ultimate. He's just been putting down so much damage. And here we go, he sends it in. Oh. So this is the difference maker here. Cranks, he does get his tire, but doesn't use it as effectively as Tavik, who is his signature Junkrat player. He finds two off the back of his, which allows his team to push forward. I think SF had the better compositional lineup. They just had so much health, right? The Reinhardt shield, the Roadhog with his take a breather, they were just, and even Mini on the Moira just putting in so much healing that they were able to push their way through, bully their way through, find some picks, and take down Boston Boost. I like Orisa. You know, she does get a lot of flack, but her shield just isn't as strong as some of the others in the game. And especially with Junkrat on the other side, it just gets taken out so quickly. Cranks with another Riptire. Tries to find somebody in the back line. Moira, so shifty, just dodges out of it. Crocks try to capitalize on that. They know Cranks, he has to channel that ability, so they try to dive on him, but the rest of the team is there to peel for him. And they get 3 kills. Boston Boost looking in a good position. They try to take a forward hold, trying to get him out of spawn. They realize their advantage has been lost. They try to back out. Oh, Reinhardt walks right through, lays down the hammer, gets the D.Va down. But Tonic, he's ready for it. Puts up the golden armor and just stands tall and wards off the attack from SF Crocks. Cranks, he needs some healing. He's looking for it. He's going to go back and get that health back. Snillo on the payload, using the high ground of the payload actually to find some extra shots. Diving Winston comes in. Cranks was low. He gets taken out. Snillo, though, returns the favor and takes out Vanera and sends it back to spawn. Sekor using the Tranquility to keep everybody up, and in response to that, Boombox uses the sound barrier to good effect, keeps Tavik up. Tavik is able to find 2. And I think this is the go button for SF Crocks. Sorry, Snillo. All right. Vanera playing aggressively. He knows that HDPhillyB will be right behind him. They don't want these respawners to come out of this doorway. They're going to try to pressure them as much as possible. I think there's a little lack of communication there from Vanera and HDPhillyB. Bomb gets tossed in, tries to find something, does not. Cranks with another rip tire, sends it forward, doesn't find a pick as well. Snillo, though, with these tack visors, has been doing a great job. Dempsey seeing 3 of his members go back to spawn. He decides to use those legs to retreat. Needs to cover his homie, though, on the backside. Boombox, even though he's shifty, Snillo is able to take him out. All right, the payload is in a forward position. Let's see how SF Crocks decides they want to approach this. They're just pressuring the high ground, getting those dinks with the head. All right, Snillo finds his counterpart in Dempsey. HDPhillyB decides to launch in the bomb to the high ground, takes out Cranks with large portions of damage. They know now they're going to try to pressure Snillo on the high ground, and they do. Vanera just waving his arms around, trying to juggle him in the corner, but he can't get it done. And the res comes out from Honey, brings Cranks back into the fray. He just launches grenades down at Vanera and just takes him out. Mercy, once again, is just way too crucial on the defense, getting those resurrections in that can immediately turn the tide of battle, right? Once you think you may have an advantage, she comes in, gets that respawn, and your advantage is done.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Time is dwindling for SF Crocks. They do have the sound barrier and they do have the Dragon Blade that can be coupled together to provide the get you with a little bit more sustain as he dives in and tries to find some picks. Mini finds a great pick onto Snillo, immediately gets res, but let's see if Devik can do anything with this blade. Bomb tossed in, tries to create some space. Devik taken down by that mine. Nothing he can do about it. Snillo gets Heavy out of mech. Dempsey just laying in the pressure. That's 3 down on the side of Boston.
10 seconds remaining.
There's no way I'm losing. Attack!
Mini just puts in the Transcendence, tries to stall, try to keep everybody alive as much as possible. Now it's just the respawners trickling in. Boombox switched over to the Soldier, realized he needed to add in a little extra damage for his team to be able to make this push. He gets a pick onto Snillo, returns the favor of all the deaths that he's provided him, and they're able to push the point all the way to checkpoint 2.
My ultimate is charging.
Just a little poke coming out from either side, both trying to charge their ultimates. Snillo almost has his tack visor. He's been using that pretty effectively this game. Emil sends in the bomb and gets the backline of Boombox and Mini. He also gets Heavy out of mech. That should be the end of that push for SF Crocks. Emil doing excellent work on this Diva, absorbing damage, pressuring the high ground. The bombs have been immaculate from him as well. Boombox switches back to the Lucio. He knows he's going to need that speed boost to get the rest of his team in there. And HDPhillyB thinks he needs a little bit more sustain, switches over to the Roadhog. Tonic used the Primal Rage to create some space and keep the opposing team from getting onto the point. He gets 2 with it, actually. Still follows up with the tack visor, gets some of those leftover targets. Oh, Dempsey. He had the Discord on him, took a big shot from the Soldier, almost went down. Gets that health back. He knows he's going to have to get back to the point. They have to touch. Oh, and they're able to do it. Sickler tossing the Transcendence. He knows this battle is theirs for the taking. Boombox keeping everybody up. He's going to get that sound barrier in this fight. They're going to use it to try to turn the tides. He's going to need to keep Vanera up. Will he use it? There it is. Sound barrier comes in. This is their chance. The Vic knows that's his go button. He uses it to dash onto the backline and gets Zenyatta down. He's getting all the support that he can. Excellent work by SF Crocks. Their ability to touch the point right at the final moment was excellent. And then understanding that Boombox was about to get his sound barrier, it's good recognition by them. Cranks tosses in the Dragon Blade. He knows he's trying to keep everybody, get him down, but Mini had the Transcendence to block all the damage and immediately mitigated. He tries to back off. He's at 20 health. He somehow gets the healing. The hammer comes through and takes him down. Tonic, though, using the Primal Rage. He got it again. He's just trying to knock anybody off the point. He knows that it's overtime. If they're not touching it, it's going to be over. Excellent work by Tonic there. You love to see that play from a Winston, understanding how Primal Rage needs to be used, right? It's a disruption attack, right? It's a disruption ability, getting everybody off the point, and that overtime wick goes all the way down. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, I'm HDPhillyB, and this is another evening of Scrim Nights.